Jungkook's father leaves the concert. Halfway through, the reason will shock you. The Olympic Stadium in Seoul pulsed with 70,000 voices singing in perfect unison, their collective energy creating ripples in the humid summer air. Purple, ocean waves crashed against the stage as army bombs swayed in synchronized rhythm, transforming the massive venue into a constellation of devotion. Jungkook stood at center stage, sweat glistening under the blazing lights, his voice soaring through Still With You, with the kind of raw emotion that had made him a global icon. From his position in the VIP section, Jeon Hyun-soo watched his son with tears streaming down his weathered cheeks. At 58, the former construction worker's hands were still calloused from decades of laying concrete and hauling rebar across Seoul's endless building sites. Tonight, those same hands trembled as they gripped the concert program, his son's face smiling back at him from the glossy cover. "He's incredible, isn't he?" whispered the woman beside him, another VIP guest. "You must be so proud." Hyun-soo nodded, unable to speak. Pride wasn't adequate to describe the symphony of emotions overwhelming him as he watched Jungkook command the stage with the confidence of someone born to perform. His boy, his precious youngest son, had grown into a man who could move mountains, with his voice alone. But as Jungkook transitioned into "My Time," Hyun-soo's phone vibrated against his chest. He ignored it the first time, then the second. By the third buzz, his stomach had twisted into knots. With shaking fingers, he pulled out the device and read the message that would shatter his world. "Mr. John, we need you at the hospital immediately. Your wife has regained consciousness and is asking for you. The doctors say this might be your only chance." The phone slipped from his numb fingers, clattering onto the concrete floor. For 3 months, Jungkook's mother had been in a medically induced coma following a devastating car accident. 3 months of Hyun-soo sleeping on hospital chairs, holding her hand, whispering stories about their son's achievements while machines kept her breathing. 3 months of keeping this nightmare from Jungkook, whose world tour schedule couldn't be disrupted by family tragedy. She wouldn't want him to know, Hyun-soo had insisted to his eldest son, Jung-hyun. You know how he blamed himself when she got sick before his debut. He'll destroy himself with guilt. So they had built an elaborate web of lies. When Jungkook called home between concerts, Hyun-soo would sit in the hospital hallway and pretend everything was normal. "Iyama is sleeping," he'd say, technically true. "She sends her love," he'd add, knowing that if she could, she would. Now, watching his son pour his soul into every note on the stage where he belonged, Hyun-soo faced an impossible choice. Stay and witness this triumphant homecoming concert that Jungkook had dedicated to his family, or leave to potentially say goodbye to the woman who had sacrificed everything so their son could chase his dreams. On stage, Jungkook's eyes swept across the VIP section, searching. When they found his father's familiar figure, his face lit up with a smile so radiant it could have powered all of Gangnam District. He pointed toward Hyun-soo and mouthed, "I love you, Appa." The words hit Hyun-soo like physical blows. How could he leave? How could he explain walking out on this moment his son had worked 15 years to achieve? But then he remembered her voice from that morning 3 months ago, groggy with sleep but fierce with determination. "Promise me, Yobo, if something happens to me, don't let it stop our young cookie from shining. He's meant for greatness." With legs that felt like lead, Hyun-soo stood and began the longest walk of his life. Each step toward the exit felt like betrayal. Behind him, Jungkook's voice soared through Magic Shop, the song about healing and finding strength in darkness, while Hyun-soo stumbled toward his own darkness. He didn't see the moment Jungkook noticed his empty seat, didn't witness how his son's voice cracked just slightly during the bridge, how his eyes kept darting back to that vacant spot where unconditional love used to sit. The performance continued flawlessly. Jungkook was too professional to let his confusion show. But something fundamental had shifted. 20 minutes later, Hyun-soo burst through the doors of Seoul National University Hospital, his dress shirt soaked with perspiration and Seoul's summer humidity. The elevator ride to the ICU felt eternal, each floor like another year of his marriage flashing before his eyes. Dr. Kim met him at the nurses' station, her expression grave but tinged with hope. She's been in and out of consciousness for the past hour. She keeps asking for you and for Jungkook. He doesn't know, Hyun-soo whispered. I couldn't tell him. She knows. She's been worried about him. Hyun-soo approached her bedside with the reverence of entering a sacred space. After 3 months of tubes and machines, seeing her eyes open felt like witnessing a miracle. When she spotted him, her cracked lips attempted a smile. "Yobo," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the mechanical symphony of life support. Where is our Jungkook? He's performing. The concert in Seoul. You remember? He dedicated it to us." Tears rolled down her pale cheeks. "I wanted to watch with you." Hyun-soo pulled out his phone with trembling hands and found a live stream of the concert. Together they watched their son perform Euphoria, his voice carrying across the digital void to reach his parents in that sterile hospital room. "He's so beautiful," she breathed. "So strong, just like his appa." "Don't talk like that," Hyun-soo pleaded. "You're going to get better. You're going to watch him perform in person again." She squeezed his hand with what little strength remained. "Promise me. Tell him. Tell him why you left. Tell him, I'm so proud of the man he's become." As if summoned by her words, Hyun-soo's phone rang. Jungkook's name flashed on the screen. "Appa." His son's voice was tight with worry. "Where did you go? Are you okay? I saw your seat was empty and—" Hyun-soo looked at his wife, who nodded weakly. After 3 months of protection through lies, it was time for the truth. "Jungkook, he began, his voice breaking. "I need to tell you something about Iyama." The silence that followed felt infinite. Then, quietly, "How long?" 3 months. Another pause. Then, "I'm coming." "No, finish your concert. She's stable now, and your fans—" "Appa." Jungkook's voice carried a strength that reminded Hyun-soo of the determined 15-year-old who had auditioned for Big Hit. "My fans will understand. I'm coming home." An hour later, Jungkook burst into the hospital room still wearing his concert outfit, makeup streaked with tears. He knelt beside his mother's bed and took her hand in both of his. "Iyama, I'm here." Her eyes fluttered open, and the smile that spread across her face was radiant. "My Jungkook, you came." "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked his father, pain evident in every word. "Because," his mother answered before Hyun-soo could speak, "we wanted you to fly, not fall, because of us." Jungkook pressed his forehead to her hand. "You're my everything, both of you. Success means nothing if I can't share it with you." "You shared it with the world tonight," she whispered. "That's what we wanted. That's what love does." As Seoul's neon lights painted patterns on the hospital room walls, the Jeon family held each other in the space between heartbreak and hope. Tomorrow would bring challenges and difficult conversations. But tonight, they were together. A father who had chosen love over pride, a mother fighting to stay, and a son who had learned that sometimes the greatest performance happens not on stage, but in the quiet moments when we choose each other over everything else. The concert would be talked about for years, not for its spectacular performances, but for the moment when Korea's golden boy chose family over fame. And in that choice, Jungkook had never been more worthy of the love that had carried him home.